Heavenly Father, Holy Mother, I pray that you would give us ears to hear, hearts to receive, and a spirit to contain your word, and a willingness to do that which we hear. It is in Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Amen. So you say you love me, huh? I want you to think about that. I think in order for us to be able to effectively answer that question, the first thing we need to talk about is, what is love? What do you think love is? Anybody? Just randomly tell me what you think it is. Do you think it's a feeling? Or do you think it's an action?
It's both. It's both.
We're going to go with both. So, I did a little digging because I wanted to know, what did the dictionary say that love is? Because I think we really need to understand the definition of things to know what we're talking about. Because what I think it is and what you think it is could be two different things. So when I looked it up in the dictionary, here's what I found. Number one, it's an intense feeling of deep affection or great interest and pleasure in something. Number two, it means to feel a deep romantic or sexual attachment to someone. Hey, it's in there. Here's the funny part. The first definition I gave you was love as a noun. The second definition I gave you was love as a verb. Now, I don't know about you, but to me there did not seem to be much difference between both definitions. To me, the lines are blurred. I walked away feeling like, in all the words that exist for humans to communicate and connect, we are very limited in our understanding of love. Hence, we have a very limited definition of love. They both appear to deal with feelings and what is gained by love, but not necessarily what is given. See, in both definitions, it's about what you're receiving. It's never talking about what you're giving, what you're doing. I believe that love is more than a feeling. Love is actions that are born out of the feelings that we have. And when I say actions, I'm talking about serving, sharing, caring, the things that we do for and with one another. I believe that this is the love that Jesus was talking to Peter about. Now, I'd like to tell you that Peter is one of my favorite people, because Peter was a hot mess. He was. Peter's that disciple that cussed people out. Then when the soldiers came to get Jesus, dude took an ear. He just wasn't afraid to get in the scrum. To me, he closely resembles what some of us are like. Think about how you are about your family. You know, you might be a real chill person until somebody rolls up on somebody you care about, and then you square up. At that moment, it's like, and that's who Peter was. He wasn't afraid to get in a fight. And he actually did love Jesus with all of his heart. But here's the funny part, or the interesting part. Peter was also the one who didn't believe Jesus when Jesus said, when they come for me, you're going to deny me. Peter didn't believe that he would deny Jesus 3 times before the cock crowed on the night that Jesus was arrested in the garden. Peter was adamant that he would never come up short, that he would never fail in his love. Guess what, y'all? Peter was wrong. Peter didn't let Jesus down, though. Peter let himself down. He didn't fail due to a lack of love for Jesus, but more for a fear of people. Peter's not alone in this quandary. Not then or not now. A lot of us love a lot of different people. A lot of us come from families that had specific ideologies and specific cultural beliefs about other cultures. A lot of us, as we have gone on in our life and become exposed to more things in the world, we've learned that maybe some of the things we are initially taught were not true. We are progressive. And for those of us who claim to love a source higher than ourselves, well, if you're really learning and your heart is expanding, your capacity to love should be expanded. But here's what happens. So we're in these new environments, we're interacting with other people, we're learning more about other people, but then we go home. You know, the family reunion, you're hanging out with some of your folks who still think a specific way, who still act a specific way, and they will say specific things. Well, you know you should speak up, but you know why you don't? You're afraid. You're afraid they're going to reject you. You're afraid what happens if they do reject you. That's what Peter went through. And these are the choices that we're constantly being faced with. Now, keeping this in mind, I want to focus on verses 15 through 19. I know that you heard Scott read it, but I'm going to read it again and how it sounded to me. After breakfast, Jesus said to Simon Peter, Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these? Yes, Master, you know I love you. Feed my lambs. Simon, son of John, do you love me? Well, yes, Master, you know I love you. Shepherd my sheep. Simon, son of John, do you love me? Master, you know everything there is to know. You've got to know that I love you. These are not just simplistic questions. I believe that this is actually a confrontation. It's a confrontation instigated by Jesus to make Peter face himself. Peter had denied Jesus 3 times, so Jesus asked him 3 times if he loves him. I believe that Jesus knew Peter loved him, but Peter needed to hear himself say it because he had failed the test before. Maybe Jesus wanted Peter to hear himself profess his love because he knew the test ahead. We can find ourselves in that. How many times have we made a promise that we weren't going to do certain things, or that, you know, this is not going to happen, I got it this time, and then something happens and it just doesn't work out. And so you're walking around feeling like the world's worst person because I dropped the ball. But here's the thing, sometimes we fail at things because we're human, we're not perfect. But failing at something does not make you a failure. And being in love with anybody and anything doesn't mean you're not going to make mistakes. Doesn't mean that there won't be misunderstandings. So what I'm saying is this: it does us no good to take one specific incident and apply it to a whole relationship. Or how the old folks say, don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. We got to hang in there. So what really stands out to me is when Jesus asked, do you love me? Peter's response is consistently, you know I do. Whenever Peter says this, notice Jesus responds with an action that needs to be taken. So the first time, Jesus tells him, feed my sheep. The second time, he tells him, shepherd my sheep. And then the third time, he says, feed my sheep. I'm telling you the very truth now. When you were young, you dressed yourself and went wherever you wish. But when you get old, you'll have to stretch out your hands while someone else dresses you, takes you where you don't want to go. Then, I think Jesus pauses, lets Peter process it, and looks him in the eye and says, follow me. Now, when he was telling them to follow him, there's a couple of things in that. Think about it. This is Jesus after the resurrection. So we all know what Jesus went through leading up to crucifixion. Then he actually was crucified. So in my spirit, I hear Jesus saying to Peter when he says, follow me all the way to the end, whatever it costs. Follow me. I gave it all. You're going to have to give it all. Follow me. So as I meditated on this some more, in my sanctified imagination, this is what I can hear Jesus saying to us right now. So you say you love me, huh? Do you love me more than the trappings of the world? And here we go, just like Peter. Yes, Jesus, you know we do. Feed my lambs. I have set an open table in my house. Stop trying to determine who gets a seat at it and where. So you say you love me, huh? Come on now, Jesus, you know we do. Shepherd my sheep. Fling the doors of the church open like the gate to the pasture so that my flock can be led in. I am the way. Stop gatekeeping or blocking the entrance. Who are we to determine who the sheep are? The word says, my sheep hear my voice. That's who they respond to. It's not about me. It's not about you. It's not about your voice. It's about being a vessel that the voice comes through. When they hear it, they will come. When they come, don't block the door, because it's not a sheep you recognize. So you say you love me, huh? Come on, Jesus, don't be that way. You know all the things, so you know we love you. Feed my sheep. I am telling you the very truth now. When you were young, church was about appearing to do the right thing, and religion was about following rules. But now that you are at an age of understanding, my concept of love is stretching you. Sometimes you resist because you don't want to go. My love was apparent in my actions before I ever uttered a word. My final command was that you love others as I have loved you. Follow me. So you say you love him, huh? Well, follow him. Amen.
Amen.
Before you begin, Dale, we have some folks here who haven't been here before. And some folks here who probably haven't heard me say this before. When we pass the plate, we ask that you put your gifts in it. Sometimes our gifts are financial. A lot of times they're way more than that. And you know what I mean by they're way more than that. So whatever you put in, whether it's something visible that you can see, or whether it's something intangible that maybe nobody can see, but you know it's your gift. When you put that in, even if it's intangible, would you take just a couple of seconds to bless all the gifts that are in that plate and that will be in that plate today? Because that's what God asks, that we be generous with all the gifts we've been given. Not just the few we feel we can share. Does that work? Okay? Alrighty.
The sun is rising over All Night Ridge. Baby is stirring upstairs in the loft. Church bells will be ringing, come and gather. The mist creeps through the bottom, still and soft. The hens out in the yard babble like children. Ripe fruit hanging from the apple tree. Gather up the eggs to start some breakfast. A spoon or two stir my tea. And the sun smiles down on the fields. After church the folks all come together. Let the kids go down to Abrams Creek. Roast up that old red we've been saving. There's been no eggs for the herd all this week. Memories laughing, voices mingling, fingers quilting stories in the cloth, pitching horseshoes ring across the hollow. Others, friends all run on at the mouth, and the breezes laugh through the trees. Storms come up from Chapalichi. The crops will be much sweeter with the rain. If the next trip to the flatlands brings good fortune, we'll come home with a bag of sugar cane. One more week of harvest and we'll see if we'll have extra goods to take to town. Chestnuts have been plentiful this autumn. The rivers nearly stop, the fields are brown, and the wandering rains bless the field. Natives tell of spirits in the forest, the waters and the trees remember when. He Ghost King guides the herd to safety, lends his spirit to the works of men. God is our protector and our refuge, the earth our mother nurturing and strong. All this valley's beauty is our treasure, bread and life and comfort all year long. As the moons pass away,